We may not have the skills or the talent, and at one point or another, we've all overestimated our abilities, especially me. Sometimes all it takes is watching the pros do something on TV, and all of a sudden, we think we can do it better.
Doctor is in!
But if we're lucky, someone will come and tell us we're in way over our heads. The Biden White House has been trying to get that point across to Joe Biden for over a year and a half, telling him he's just not that guy anymore. He can't be going out in front of the cameras like he used to, back in the day. And for some time, Joe listened. He spent 221 days without doing a sit-down interview, just hunkered down in his bunker in Delaware, while most of us had questions. But Joe Biden decided to finally break that streak this weekend, talking to 60 Minutes to try to prove to everyone that he still has it in him.
Mr. President, you are the oldest president ever.
Pretty good shape, huh?
Which leads to my next question. You are more aware of this than anyone. Some people ask whether you are fit for the job. And when you hear that, I wonder what you think.
Watch me. I mean, honest to God, that's all I think. Watch me.
We've been watching. That's why Scott Pelley asked you that. And we don't like what we see. Biden's like the guy who's always going around telling you how great a shape he's in.
And you want to check my shape on, let's do push-ups together here, man. Let's run. Let's do whatever you want to do.
If the presidency was all about doing push-ups, we'd elect Mr. T, whose fiscal policy I'm a little unclear about. But the presidency is about the muscle between your ears.
How would you say your mental focus is?
Oh, it's focused. I haven't, look, I have trouble even saying to myself my own head the number of years. I no more think of myself as being as old as I am than fly.
Did you understand what that was? I have no idea what he just said. No idea. The problem with interviews like this for Joe is you can't hand him note cards like they usually do to tell him what to do or what to say. There's no teleprompter either. Look how unprepared the president of the United States was for a friendly interview. Makes total sense how he didn't see inflation coming. He didn't even see this interview coming. He wasn't even prepared for a question about the number one issue in the country. Watch.
Last Tuesday, the annual inflation rate came in at 8.3%.
Well, first of all, let's put this in perspective. Inflation rate month to month was just an inch, hardly at all.
You're not arguing that 8.3 is good news.
No, I'm not saying it's good news, but it was 8.2 or 8.2 before. I mean, it's not, I can make it sound like all of a sudden, my God, it went to 8.2%. It's
the highest inflation rate, Mr. President, in 40 years.
I got that.
I don't think he does. Joe Biden's arguing 8.2, 8.3. Nobody cares about 8.2. It's not a number. No, nobody cares. Just a number. They say Joe Biden's greatest asset is his empathy. Show us your asset. Feel our pain, Mr. President. We're struggling out here. What are you doing? You're just arguing the numbers? Just tell us you're sorry and you're going to fix it and you see the light at the end of the tunnel. I could do that. Instead, Joe Biden thought it might be a good idea to tell China we're going to war.
What should Chinese President Xi know about your commitment to Taiwan? Would U.S. forces defend the island?
Yes, if in fact there was an unprecedented attack.
After our interview, a White House official told us U.S. policy has not changed. Officially, the U.S. will not say whether American forces would defend Taiwan.
Is it me, or do you guys get the feeling that Joe Biden's not really the president? Who is this unnamed U.S. official? Is he the president? Joe Biden's the commander-in-chief. He's supposed to set foreign policy. But when he goes out there and sets it, there's someone else behind the curtain saying, no. That's not really what our policy is. What? Oh, and by the way, he also said the pandemic was over because people don't wear masks anymore.
Is the pandemic over?
The pandemic is over. We still have a problem with COVID. We're still doing a lot of work on it. But the pandemic is over. If you notice, no one's wearing masks. Everybody seems to be in pretty good shape. And so I think it's changing.
Now, first of all, Biden's walking around wearing a mask all the time. Like, literally last week, he's outside wearing a mask. Second of all, he's still firing people for not being vaxxed. Third, did Joe Biden tell Fauci the pandemic was over? Let's check in and see how the good doctor's taking the news.
You are entirely and completely incorrect.
That's what I thought. So how are Joe Biden's poll numbers so bad if he crushed the virus?
You have had a string of legislative successes recently,
How's an old guy do that?
but your approval rating in the country is well below 50%. And I wonder why you think that is.
I think you'd agree that the impact on the psyche of the American people as a consequence of the pandemic is profound.
So Joe Biden says he's unpopular because of the pandemic that he crushed. So you crushed COVID, inflation's not bad, and you're going to war with China. Are you committed to running again?
Sir, are you committed to running again? I take it the decision has not been made in your own head.
Look, my intention, as I said to begin with, is that I would run again, but it's just an intention. But is it a firm decision that I run again? That remains to be seen.
That answer tells me it's not even up to Biden whether he runs again. Someone's going to tell Joe if he's running or not running, and he's just going to do whatever they tell him. Remember, Jill Biden doesn't even know if Joe's running. And they sleep together. Obviously, both of them haven't been told. Maybe it's the unnamed U.S. official who will tell him. At this rate, Joe Biden can't announce he's running for re-election, and the White House is probably going to walk it back and say official U.S. policy concerning the Biden campaign remains unchanged. Now, if you listen closely, you can almost hear Gavin Newsom celebrating. And then CBS started feeling a little nostalgic, reminiscing over the days when Biden could pal around with segregationists and throw back a few bourbons.
What we do today, think about it. It's all personal attacks. It's about motive. It's not about I disagree with you on the subject matter.
It seems to me, Mr. President, that when you first came to the Senate, the other guy had a bad idea.
Okay.
And now the other guy is a bad guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you get back.
Well, Pelly, here's the thing, guy. When Joe Biden calls half the country racist Neanderthals, it's kind of hard to break bread after that. So now the interview's winding down, and they still haven't asked Joe a single question about the record-breaking crime and illegal immigration. But CBS couldn't leave without asking about Hunter. And Pelly's question was, of course, you know the Republicans are going to pounce.
Mr. President, if you run again, Republicans are most likely to go after your son, Hunter, once again.
I love my son, number one. He fought an addiction problem. He overcame it. He wrote about it. And no, there's not a single thing that I've observed at all that would affect me or the United States relative to my son, Hunter.
So I love my drug addict son, and I didn't do anything wrong. No follow-up. That was it. Now, why did you lie about Hunter not making any money in China? Why did you lie about not knowing about Hunter Biden's deals? Are you the big guy? CBS didn't ask any of that. Not even anything about the story that CBS broke about the 150 suspicious Treasury transactions of the Biden family. Remember when Trump was president, CBS was part of the disinformation campaign.
I think it's one of the biggest scandals I've ever seen, and you don't cover it. You want to talk about...
Well, because it can't be verified.
You want to talk about insignificant things.
I'm telling you.
Of course it can be verified. Excuse me, they found the laptop. Leslie.
It can't be verified.
What can't be verified?
The laptop.
Yeah, it was verified. The only thing that can't be verified right now is who's in charge of the country. I mean, because every fair-minded person who saw that interview knows Joe Biden can't be president. I could pretend to be a Democrat and answer those questions better. I might actually switch parties and primary Joe Biden just to prove how easy it is. I'm not joking.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.